Hi! Alright, it's been a hot minute to be honest. Something went wrong with the sound on my last few favorites and then I just got busy and then a lot of excuses and reasons, but we're back here and now here are my July favorites. Okay, so I skipped through a lot of months of favorites. Maybe I'll share them with you on Instagram instead slowly. But for July, here are some of the things that I really liked. One of them is, and this is strange because it's not new. I think I saw a friend of mine, Bella, from Malaysia, this like influencer from Malaysia, and she was singing Part of Your World, which is by, Ariel of The Little Mermaid. And I don't know when that brought me into a downward or upward, depending on how you see it, spiral of Disney. And then so I just kept listening to Disney songs, and then I started listening to old musical soundtracks, and then it brought me back to Notre Dame de Paris, which is a musical that I watched, I think, it must have been at least 5 years ago. So it was, they came to Singapore, and it's the story of the Hunchback of Notre Dame, but it's done in a more adult way. Like it has very adult themes of like lust and longing and how people still go for what's on the surface in terms of like beauty, outer beauty versus inner beauty. Anyway, the point is I started listening to the soundtrack again because it was one of those soundtracks that I really liked it. Like after the show, I actually bought the CD. Yeah, they used to sell CDs, and and I found it on Spotify and I've been listening to it non-stop. So some of the songs that are really captivating, even though I have no idea what they're saying in French. There's this one called Belle. So it's sung by the three male protagonists, and they basically are all quite obsessed with the female protagonist named Esmeralda because of her beauty and her goodness, and a lot of it is very lust based. As I said, this is quite an adult themed musical, but it's the way they sing the song. I have no idea what they're saying in French, but the emotion comes through and it's really quite a beautiful melody. So I actually played it as a cool down track in one of my bounce classes. I don't know what people thought about that, but the other thing is, since I started getting into that, I found it on YouTube, and I realized on YouTube they actually have the English translation, because when I watched the musical there were subtitles, but I don't really remember every single detail because you're trying to watch what's going on stage. So now, because I've watched the stage version, I just read the subtitles, and it makes the songs so much better. So Notre Dame de Paris, the soundtrack. Okay, something else I've been loving are these pair of tights from Lululemon. So I recently did a campaign with Lululemon and Her World. Very grateful to be part of that campaign because it's with a brand that I really like, for a magazine that I write a column for. Yes, I write a monthly column in Her World. Please go read if you haven't. And this is one of the outfits that we thought of doing for the shoot. Now what I really like about these, they're like bike shorts, but they're on the shorter side, which I kind of prefer. So they don't hit the knee, they kind of hit me mid-thigh, which I think is a better length for me, because the one that hits above my knee, for some reason, because I'm really tall and a bit gangly, it makes me look like a giraffe. Not a good look. But I like this because it's super soft, and also because it's so neutral, like in black. I have found ways to style this for non-sports. So some of my friends are very amused. They're like, do you just dress in sportswear every day now? Honestly, it's quite a lot easier because I kind of do some form of sport almost every day, and when you pair this with, like, say, a simple tank top, and then you wear like a button-down shirt over, like a denim shirt, or like a nice jacket over, it actually looks really nice, like athleisure, and it also makes it really easy because after that, if I need to change out for sports, if I already have a sports bra on, then literally you just take out the layers and I'm good to go. See? Other than that, I just need to change out the top, change to a sports top, and good to go. So definitely one of my new favorites for July. Alright, another favorite that I'm loving. So this is, I think this is not a new design because my friend Etta bought this for me some time back. I think it was for Christmas last year, but she only gave it to us, to me this year. And it is very similar to another Starbucks bottle that I really like, where, I don't know if I must have featured that on my favorites sometime. The one that I have is half pink, half purple, but that one's looking a bit worse for wear just because I use it so often. So this one also opens up to kind of have 2 cups. So it's really useful if you are sharing a drink with a friend. If you're both at the water cooler, you can both have a cup and enjoy a sip. I'm a social creature, so whoopsie. So that helps. The other thing it's good for is if you're making like a drink, like tea or like let's say Milo, it's a lot easier to just make a concentrated version in this cup and then add ice, or concentrated version in this cup and then add ice. I don't know, I just kind of like the option of it breaking into 2. I recently brought it to Sentosa because I was given all these little cocktail bottles of cocktails from a Porsche event that I hosted. So I actually brought my little cocktail bottles to the beach, and I brought a cooler box with ice, and I actually used this as a shaker bottle, and then I had martini glass on one side and like highball glass but not so high on the other. Yeah, so it's a good cup, it's a good tumbler to bring for picnics simply because it doubles up. Alright, some beauty favorites. I'm not huge on beauty products, as you know, but when I really like a product, I use it for the longest time, and you can see it on my empties. If you watch all my product empties videos, yeah, you will see. I mean, Liu Ying used to say like it's like a lot of repetitive products, and that's because I'm quite boring. When I like something and it works, I kind of stick to it for a long time. So this was came in a press kit from Yves Rocher. I think Cindy, the PR person who was handling this particular media drop, she sent this to me together with the shampoo and conditioner that I think are really good. But this is the, what do you call this even? Rinsing vinegar with raspberry, right? So it apparently has agave fructans, whatever that is, for healthy scalp. So I thought this was like good scalp care because you know, when you have, especially when you have long hair, you realize that healthy hair starts from a healthy scalp. It's true. So I thought, oh, you know, this would be good to I don't know, cleanse or nourish my scalp. But then it's like magic water, guys. Like when you put it on your hair, it just, I don't know what it does. I don't know whether it's to do with the pH level or it just makes my hair really, really soft. Like you use it after shampoo and conditioner, right? The instructions say apply before last rinse. Rinse. Okay. So what I usually do is I go through my normal shampoo and conditioner and then I wash that out, and I just, because it says it's for the scalp, right? I kind of put this on the scalp and just let it flow down to the ends. And then you just rinse with water. And my goodness, the hair ends become so soft after that. I really don't know what they put in this, but if you have a problem with really tangled hair, like mine is really processed and it's really fine, so it gets tangled really easily, this has been a lifesaver. I call this like magic water. I don't know why this hasn't like, I don't know, unless I'm so out of the beauty scene. How come it's not more in mainstream consciousness? Anyway, Yves Rocher, if you want to work with me, I'm here because I'm a real fan of this product. Okay, the next 2 beauty products are actually shopped off my friend Elian's beauty stash. Okay, because she works in the industry where, you know, people send her a lot of samples and like new product launches. And so we were at her house and she has like a whole room full of beauty products. So we were like, oh, let's just go shopping. And she very generously said, guys, just pick whatever you want. She has a shelf of stuff that she wants to try next. But she says, especially if there are different shades, I'm not going to use them all, just pick what you want. So yeah, I went a bit mad. So this is, I don't know if it's pronounced correctly, Cle, C-L-E, CCC cream. Right, so it's apparently a micro capsule technology for radiant skin, and it's sunscreen SPF 50. So I thought it's like a BB cream slash sunscreen. Not quite sure the difference between BB cream and CC cream. Someone please drop me a comment down below if you know the difference between BB and CC cream. To me, all the same. They're all to me like a tinted moisturizer with sunscreen. So it's good for lazy girls when you don't want to put too much product on your face or you're just too lazy to do so many steps. I usually just get away with like a tinted moisturizer, aka BB cream, CC cream, whatever, same thing. Right, so this one came in a whole variety of shades, and so I took a shade that I thought was the right shade for me and I tried it on and I texted her, I was like, babe, that's a bit too dark. So she very generously brought this one for me. So this is in warm light. I think it's still a tad too dark, but at a level where it is acceptable for me. And I really like this because it's so funny. It goes on, okay, let me show you actually. So it actually is like white. Can you see? So it's white. As you rub it in, it becomes like flesh toned. Can you see that? It kind of changes color, and it's not just because it's blending in. It literally changes color upon application. And that's why it actually comes in many shades, because at first when I tried it on at her house, I was like, it's white, right? But then the minute you put it on skin and then you rub it in, I think something to do, I'm no beauty guru, but I think something to do with the color capsules bursting or something, because this is micro capsule technology. Dunno? Something like that, right? Basically the color comes out when you rub it in, and yeah, I find it really natural looking. It gives a little bit of coverage, just evens out the skin tone. It doesn't make me break out. It's not overly oily, but as I get older, my skin also gets a little bit dry sometimes, and it's not overly dry as well. So for me, it works really well. So thank you to Ilian for letting me steal 2 of her shades of this. Alright, and so this is another one that I stole from Ilian's stash. So it's by Fenty Beauty, and it's their Snap eyeshadows. Right, so I picked she had quite a few different palettes of this. So I picked the one with the shade 9 Wine. And that's because for eyeshadows, I kind of prefer when it's slightly cooler toned, right? And I like slight pinks, a slight pinky tone to my eyeshadow. So this one comes with like this sort of shades. Yeah, so I generally like the shade Pop the Cork and Sherry Fairy, because these are like a warm, pinky sort of brown, if that makes sense. And then I use Rosé Spritz as a highlighter. Pinot Please is very dark purple, so I don't use it as often. Bottle Service and She Bubbly are like pinky tones. I use them sometimes as well. So I really like this palette. It's really light, as in lightweight. So it's easy to carry out when I do my makeup on the go. I think it's called Snap Shadows because you can snap all the palettes together, shade all of them. I didn't realize this at the time. The only grounds I have about this is the packaging. Okay, so it's not very friendly because it's just like one slit. It's not magnetic. I really like magnetic packaging. If you see previous videos, I've talked about MAC. I think a lot of MAC eyeshadows are magnetic, and I find that really convenient. So this one you kind of have to pry it open and slip your finger in the groove and pull it out. So it's like bad for the nails. Yeah, but I just want to have a look at the colors. Sherry Fairy is this brown that I really like, and Pop the Cork is the shimmery brown on the top, right? So I really like this. Don't like the packaging. The other thing I don't like is I don't find this super blendable. I think for eyeshadows, my favorite brands are still Cle and MAC. Cle because it's really sheer and smooth and blends like, basically if you're an idiot, you still can use Cle eyeshadows because they blend so easily. And MAC because it's pigmented but also blends easily. I don't know, I just don't find this the most blendable, but the colors are so nice that I actually use it and just spend a little bit more time blending it. Maybe because it's really, really pigmented, I'm not quite sure. So if you like a really pigmented shadow and you don't mind spending more time on blending, I would say, yeah, I really, really like this palette and really like the colors. Okay, I actually managed to read quite a number of books. And 2 that I really liked. One is No Filter. So it's the story basically of Instagram. So it's kind of like a business book, right? And the author actually takes us through the journey from how Instagram was conceived, you know, the idea from the idea stage to like when the business meeting happened to like how it came about, and then the progression within Instagram. So it's really, really interesting. You know, Instagram is one of those things that is so much a part of my life. It's part of my work. There are days where I'm not such a fan, right? So there are days when I'm not feeling great and I don't post. And I actually get really concerned friends, my mom as well, who will text me and say, girl, are you okay? And maybe that day I was either really busy. If I don't post, it means I'm either really busy, like it's back-to-back meetings and appointments, and I try not to be on my phone when I'm out with other people. Or it's a day where I'm just not feeling great and not in the mood to post, and I don't want to spread anything negative, right? So it's kind of like, that's our relationship, me and Instagram. And this book kind of brings you through what the founders thought about what they wanted for Instagram. And there are some features that they didn't actually want Instagram to have that have recently developed. And reading the book, you can geek out and understand why this is so. If you're like, you know, drop me a line in the comment box below. Let me know if you're team Instagram or team Facebook, because I feel like it's more and more polarizing. Like for me, I find Facebook just kind of messy. There's just too many functions, too many things happening. I just can't keep track. And I like to keep things simple. So Instagram kind of keeps it simple, except now it's getting more complicated because there is that Facebook influence and elements. And if you read the book No Filter, you'll find out why, right? I think that the author really has gone really in depth, and she writes in such a narrative way, such that you feel like you're reading a story. It's not dry like some business books are. It's actually really quite a compelling read. I think I read it in like 2 days, right? So it's really one of those books that I found quite hard to put down and quite enlightening. If you've watched the documentary on social media, I would say read this as well. This gives a nice different perspective to it. Although if you're already not a fan of Zuckerberg, reading this might make you be even less of a fan of Zuckerberg. Be warned. Okay, so another book that I finished reading is Brave New World by Aldous Huxley, and this is kind of like me rehashing the Notre Dame de Paris, like rehashing something that's not exactly new. So Brave New World is a classic novel. I just don't know why I've never read it before, right? So why did I end up reading it again? I forgot. I think I had some conversation with a friend about The Handmaid's Tale, and then she brought up this book, and then she was kind of surprised that I've never read it. And I was kind of surprised, so I read it, and yeah, it was, I mean, it really, I have to say, it's quite mind-blowing. Okay, firstly, it's like a dystopian novel, a bit similar to The Handmaid's Tale. It's set in a dystopian future. So if you like that sort of slightly sci-fi-ish genre of a dystopian reality, you will like this. If you really hate that genre, you won't, right? But I can't read too many of these books because it's kind of depressing and it screws with your head a bit, but I like reading them every now and again, right? So the most amazing thing was this novel was written in the 1930s, right? And a lot of the concepts that he talks about are really progressive, even for the time that we are living in, much less for like the 1930s. So it's kind of loosely based on a few ideals. Let me try to explain this in a simple way, in a quick way. It's kind of loosely based on a set of ideals, like they're living in this utopian future, or what is supposedly a utopian future, like an ideal future. And in this ideal world, there are all these different rules, right? So in this world, babies are all created in the lab. The idea of having a mother is like unheard of, right? It's almost considered vulgar. Everyone is encouraged to sleep with everyone else because they have the mantra like everyone belongs to everyone else. Right, so you're not like monogamy is frowned upon. It's not encouraged. You're supposed to not have any one partner that you are tied to. It's really quite progressive, right? And then on top of that, it goes deeper than that. Like it's a bit, it's definitely based on the idea of eugenics. So they classify people into different categories. Like there are alphas and betas and gammas, right? And alphas are only meant to mate with like alphas and betas, and do you know what I mean? You're not supposed to mix the castes. So that's pretty disturbing as well, right? But then they kind of, I'm not going to spoil the book for you in case you want to read it, but it's just quite amazing that he created this whole world, and it really makes you question what an ideal world actually is, and whether we are moving towards that or further away from that. Interestingly, after reading the book, I went to do a little bit of research on it just because I was so amazed, also by the fact that I've never read this before. Apparently the book was banned in many countries. I mean, I can see why, right? I think in India they said it was pornographic. I guess the part about everyone sleeping with everyone else. And then there are drug themes as well. Like in this world, you take this thing called soma. Soma is like, they don't call it a drug, but in that world, it's normal. So if you are feeling very tired, you take a soma holiday. So you take a lot of these somas and then you just knock out for like a day or two. Right, or if you're like out on a date and you want it to be more exciting, you and your date both take like half a gram of soma or something like that, right? So I feel like it's a critique on eugenics, a critique on drug use and liberalization of drugs. That's what I feel anyway. I also feel like it's a critique on how much men ought to control, because like I said, in this world, even babies are made in the lab. So you're wondering, right, like everyone's sleeping with everyone else, aren't there a lot of babies? No, because women carry contraceptives and they are trained from young, like, you know, they're classically conditioned. They are played these mantras to teach them that they must take a contraceptive pill, you know, all the time, especially if they're going to engage in any form of sexual activity, just to make sure that they don't get pregnant, because it's like a real faux pas to get pregnant. Like nobody ever gets pregnant. And in this world, no one ever gets old, no one ever gets ugly, no one ever gets fat, neither old nor fat, right? Because they're kept alive on substances and a cocktail of, I think, nutrients that keep them looking perfect, basically, right? So I think this book questions a lot of things, and it really made me think. Like, I really couldn't put it down. I was so disturbed when I read it. I would get like, I read it over the course of maybe 4 to 5 days or a week, and I couldn't sleep properly the whole time. Like, I kept getting all these dreams because I think it so submerged me in this world that I just had a lot of questions, and I just was fascinated by this. So if you're into this sort of thing, you probably would have read it already. Like I said, I don't know why I didn't, but if you haven't, I'll say give it a go. It's really quite a fascinating book. And if I were ever to, I guess, teach literature, it's one of the books that I would want to have on my reading list. Although, like I said, it was banned in many countries, and I think there was a teacher, I can't remember in which country, who actually got sued or something like that for putting this on his list of books for his students to read. So yeah, I mean, it's quite a lot to take in. So if you've read the book, please drop me a comment in the box below. Let me know what you thought about it. I really want to talk to someone about this. And that's it. To be honest, I've been thinking of setting up a book club just so that, I can have an outlet to discuss books with people. Again, please drop me a thumbs up and let me know below if you would like a book club like that, if you would like to join something like that, because I've seriously been thinking of doing that. I think, I don't know, I just feel like there are not enough people to discuss books with, and not all my friends read, and not all of them read the same sort of book. So it'd be nice to discuss it with people who actually have read or are interested in the same sort of thing. So let me know. And finally, rounding up my list of favorites for July, I actually watched Nomadland. Actually, I didn't watch this in July. This was in my favorites like some months ago. I told you some of that footage just went hence we haven't had favorites since like March. Sorry about that. But this is a movie that my mother actually recommended that I watch. So she said she watched it and she said, quote unquote, "Ayo, I don't know how they live like that, all these homeless people. Maybe only you might find this sort of thing fun." So of course I had to watch it, and alright, so I'm gonna come out and say there's a part of it that really appealed to me. Right? There's a part of that lifestyle. So basically this woman, she loses her husband, and I think she finds a bit no cause for living, plus financially she was a bit strapped. So she bought herself an RV, like a, what do you call it, recreation vehicle. In the US, they have like these huge van/caravan thingies that you live out of. She bought herself one of that and she decided that she would live like a nomad, right, on her own on the road. And it doesn't glorify or romanticize nomadic living at all. Okay, there are some really raw and harrowing scenes. Like there was one where she was sitting on a pail taking an emergency dump. I think she had really bad stomach ache or something. So that was like really quite gross, and really quite a reminder that part of that sort of living is you gotta literally clean out your own crap. That's not the fun part, right? And then there were other scenes where she seemed really lonely. There were scenes where it would be winter and there's no heat, there's no real heating within the van. So anyone who's lived or been to a cold country you know that you actually need heating when it's really cold outside. Like just being indoors ain't gonna cut it, right? So you see her shivering under like blankets, and I really felt for her in that moment, someone who doesn't like cold as well. But then there are the other parts of it, right? That sort of freedom, and that sort of freedom, not just the physical freedom, but freedom in not living up to anybody's expectation or living up to society's expectations or anything, right? Life just becomes really simple, right? You clear your own crap, you make enough money to survive, to pay for your vehicle and petrol and maintenance of the vehicle, and for your own upkeep, like to eat and all that, and that's it, right? And I think that part of it really appeals to me, and that's the part that makes me really like mountain trips. Because when you're on the mountain and you can only carry, a limited amount of stuff on your back for those days that you're on the mountain, it's cold, you can't carry everything, so you really have to pare down to the minimal things that you need. I know that sounds like to my mother, she's like, why would you want to do that when you live a nice, cushy, comfortable life here? I don't know, I mean, I can't really explain it. Like, you won't really understand until you try it. It just simplifies life so much, and you just feel grateful for a lot of small things. So that part really appealed to me. And A part of me watched the movie and really wanted to kind of try living that sort of life. Who knows? In the future, I just might. Or some sort of semblance of it. Yeah, I mean, that movie also left me feeling like, wow, you know, it was a lot of mixed emotions about that. Like, I see the beauty in that, and like I said, it did show the ugly and the realistic side as well. Because at one point, her van needed repairs and she didn't have money for that, and that was a problem as well. So, I'm not gonna spoil the movie for you, but do go watch it. It's really one of the movies that left quite an impact on me. So, those are my favorites for the month of July. Drop me a line in the comment box below. You know, really just talk to me. I want to know like about the books you've read, the movies you've watched, you know, any food that you've discovered that you liked. Yeah, drop me a line so I can check them out as well. And, you know, just comment on whatever I have talked about as well. I really want to hear other people's views. Otherwise, please stay safe, guys. Hope you're doing well in this pandemic, and I will catch you again on Facebook and on Instagram.